From the J.J. Stevens family.
Hi. Thanks for staying so late. Poor lost souls. Okay. Continuing with the science fiction, I guess. This is a story called Southbound. Mercedes drove on, still tasting her new name, letting it seep into her mind. Mercedes, she thought. Mercedes, yeah. This is so noble, so sweet, so unlike her. She liked it. It sort of bestowed a strange validity in what she was doing. Leaving was just so much easier this way. She mouthed words of Patsy Cline tunes as she sped down Route 95 to the New Hampshire border. The Piscataqua River Bridge was 3 miles ahead, and with it, freedom. She nodded to herself. Yeah, freedom. At that border, everything that tied her to Aaron and that life would be gone, and Mercedes would be reborn and transfigured at the same moment. Her namesake sedan grumbled as it carried her down south. Meanwhile, about 12 miles away, Aaron was just picking his ass up off the tarmac outside the Sicko station on Oakwood. Jesus, that car door hurt, he muttered as he brushed his jeans off and rubbed his head at the same time. He came around the Chevy Impala wearily and looked over the air pump and stopped dead. The Mercedes was gone. And so was Laurel. It took him a minute to put these two pieces together. But once they fit, a few other things fell into place, and Aaron suddenly found himself fumbling for his keys as he ran to the Impala door. He found the keys in his t-shirt pocket and had to jump through the window to get into the car. He turned it over and tore out of the gas station, leaving a rubbery smear on the pavement as he headed down Route 1 south. He got about a half mile before he hit the traffic jam. It was a hot July day in the North Country, and that little two-lane highway was jammed with tourists and overheated cars. It would take him hours to crawl through it to get down to Route 95, and Laurel would be long gone by then. He gritted his teeth and banged his head against the steering wheel. He just couldn't wait. If he did, it'd be far too late. That car could outdistance his Impala in just a few hours, and he'd never see Laura again. He'd just have to fiddle with things and get to Laura now. So, he got that funny tightness in his gut, and his heart fluttered, and his eyes started blinking rapidly, and his brain started throbbing, and he pushed hard against a wall that wasn't there, one that gave away grudgingly to the increasing pressure he placed on it with his mind. It was basically the wall of time, an invisible barrier that he could expand or tighten, and right now he needed it wide open, wide enough to drive an Impala straight through to the border. And it widened, and things got wavy and slow. And suddenly there was nothing but open road, and it was 2 a.m. yesterday morning, and Aaron smiled painfully and gunned the Impala down the corridor of 2 a.m. that he had opened. And as he did, he tightened a little pocket of time around it, and the Impala almost left the ground as it sped down the highway. He kept that pressure up until he got to the Kidry overpass, just under 2 minutes after he left the Sicko station. Then, he carefully moved into the breakdown lane and let all of time fall back into shape. Suddenly, the sun was out, and there were cars everywhere, and he found himself doing 50 miles an hour on a curve in the breakdown lane with a station wagon right in front of him. He grabbed frantically at time but couldn't get a grip, and it slipped through his metal fingers and resisted his fiddling, so he hit the brakes hard, and as his car and the station wagon closed, he tried again, and he got just this little pinch of time, and he squeezed it unmercifully. And with his sandy screech, his brakes locked with rust, and his front tires disintegrated into the rim, and the front axle broke and popped up through the engine, and the entire front end plunged into the gravelly dust of the breakdown lane, and his ruined Impala tapped the station wagon's bumper affectionately as it came to a final halt. God, Aaron muttered to himself as he pulled his face out of the space between the dashboard and the windshield. I've got to stop taking these shortcuts. He got out of the car carefully. Something was creaking in his abdomen as he stretched his legs. The little station wagon crawled on, oblivious to his doings. He ignored the creaking in the wagon and skittered between stopped cars to the overpass rail. It gave him this panoramic view of Route 95, right to the bridge. He scanned the flow of cars anxiously. Where the hell was she? The sleek-backed black Mercedes roared out of the overpass, passing a red Ford pickup and neatly settling back into the right-hand lane. Aaron tried to smile, but it hurt too much. He concentrated on the car and pushed, widening the glassy corridors of time. 20 seconds before this, Mercedes was happy to see that this wedding were rich. The car purred and drove on. Oh, freedom, she thought. A whole new existence. Just her in the car on the open road, traveling all the way to Miami, then turning around and driving all the way back and forth again and again. She touched the headset, and something tweaked her pleasurably. She giggled and settled deeper into the cushions. The car approved of that and easily passed a red pickup truck. And then suddenly, it was night, and 50 yards ahead there were 2 state patrol cars with sawhorses in front of them. The car screeched to a halt and pulled to the side, confused. Mercedes was also confused, but only for a few seconds. Then she grunted and nodded knowingly. She remembered this scene. It's my husband, she said to the car. He's found us. She saw the night bend around them, and the stays disappeared, and she waited, and waited, and eventually she saw him in the rearview mirror, walking down the off-ramp about 20 yards back. He was focused on keeping her right where she was. Nothing unusual about that, she thought. He got right in front of the car and folded his arms imperiously. Pretty ridiculous, because he was short, skinny, and wearing clothes about 4 sizes too big for him. But he did it, and he spoke up loudly. Laurel, come out of there! Mercedes grumbled, uncertain of what to do. The car wanted her to stay, and she could feel that that was a pretty good answer. It was clear in her mind. Freedom, the thoughts whispered, freedom. But if she stayed, it would be all over. She had to face him. Drat, she thought. She would have to remove the headset. But if it would get him off her back... She took a deep breath and took the headset off, keeping her eyes closed. There was less vertigo than she expected, but when she opened her eyes, everything had foggy edges, and she remembered that she had to wear glasses. So she stuck them on her face awkwardly as she exited the car. The moonlight seemed kind of bright out here. She almost asked the car to polarize the windshield before she remembered where she was. And even then, the edges weren't as crisp as they had been in the car. Her brain was almost as foggy as her sight. The clarity she had had in the car with the headset frayed in the frozen, refracted moonlight. The confusion she had felt earlier that morning was back, and she could feel her mood blackening as Aaron approached the car. He walked over and looked at the driver's side door. Wow, no dent. Nice. Laurel. Mercedes, she snapped. She clenched her fist and set her mouth firmly. And I'm not going back. I'm going to freedom. The wide open road. The vast untamed highway. The concrete canopy of forever. Aaron looked disgusted. Laurel, please hush. And she did. He gestured at the car. That's the car talking, honey. No, it's not. It's me, Mercedes, Empress of the Flat Top, War Goddess of the 4-lane battlefield, Queen of Laurel! Aaron roared, his face brightening. Look, just calm for a second. Try to understand. This car, I fiddled with it yesterday. I brought it back from about 30 years in the future. And it's something in the command unit, I don't know exactly, it suggests things, influences you. It wants to get you away from me, so I won't send it back. No, it doesn't. It wants me, Aaron, and I want out of here right now. Aaron growled. Laurel, you're talking foolishness. Listen to yourself, to your voice in your mind. This car is screwy, it's taking you over. Don't listen to it. Laurel frowned, feeling the tug of Mercedes, even as Aaron's words penetrated her clouded reasoning. She looked at the car, and at Aaron, and at the car, and the corners of her mouth quirked up thoughtfully. I don't know, I can feel something. Kind of happiness and freedom, but this morning it's so far away, and I feel other things too. Her eyes fluttered and her breath got funny. She huffed loudly. The car growled, and Aaron shut it off with a wave of his hand, evaporating the gas in its tank and decaying its power core with time. He waited for Laurel to regain control. Her eyes opened, wide and full. Something isn't right here. She looked at the car. All right, send it back, Aaron. I can't think with it around. He almost smiled, but then scrunched his mouth up and fiddled with the car, and it was obscured by walls of time, and in the space of 2 minutes it became an old Mercedes junker with no roof, the same hope that Aaron had found at the junkyard the day before. The spirit of his progeny left it, and Aaron let the walls of time fall, and it creaked as it settled on the roadside sand. So much for get-rich-quick schemes, Aaron thought to himself. With the car's degeneration, Laurel seemed to regain herself. She stopped squinting through her glasses, and her breathing became even.